Everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about a very controversial topic, and this has to do with the Department of Economic Efficiency, also known as Doge. There's been a lot of information that's been flowing on the media from both sides of the spectrum, from one extreme to the other extreme. And I did just want to take a few minutes to talk about this and to kind of talk about what it means for us, what it means for people, and why this organization is actually there to exist. How did we get there? What's caused us all to get there? And why are we having such a divide in the country? Again, I'm going to keep this neutral as possible, so please feel free to stick around for the entire video, as I'm going to stick this to facts only. If you find this information useful and helpful, please feel free to subscribe to the channel as well as share the video. So again, as I said, I'm going to keep this discussion neutral and stick to facts. So regardless of your political beliefs, I encourage you to watch this to the end. Like many of you, I'm struggling with the increased cost of everyday essentials such as food, childcare, gas, heating oil. Yes, we still do use heating oil to heat our home, electricity, insurance. Nearly every item in my household budget has gone up significantly over the past few years, while wages have not kept pace. We are a family of four. I have a wife, two young children, and myself. We both work, both my wife and I work, and we pay a good amount of taxes. However, we don't get any of this, any of the additional services, any of the, government or state services that are offered. We both just work hard and we try to make ends meet for our family. Again, now with those increased costs, has caused us to cut corners and cut costs in certain areas. So what is behind all these rising costs? It's mainly due to inflation. In the past 4 years, inflation has been significant. It's eroded purchasing power. For example, if you've had $100 in 2020, today that amount is effectively worth about $125, a 25% increase in prices. Again, that is just over a 4-year period of time. Historically, inflation has been around 1 to 2% annually over the past 15 years. That means people now have significantly less spending power than they did in previous generations. Here is a real life statistic for a generation that is in their 20s right now, which is known as Generation Z. Generation Z roughly has 86% less purchasing power than baby boomers did in their 20s. The baby boomers is a generation that are retiring now, for anyone who does not know, that just kind of deciding to differentiate between the two generations. So again, no wonder why young adults are delaying marriage, moving back home, or postponing starting families. This is a very, very real problem that's going on today and that we need to have a solution for instead of kicking the can down the road, as the new and upcoming generation isn't going to have much in the way of wealth or much in the way of the opportunities that we have had. In my professional opinion, one major contributor to this is inflation. The surge was the American Rescue Plan. The influx of printed money essentially pushed us into a 40-year record high of inflation, and we're still feeling the effects today. This program was put into place post-COVID, where the economy was recovering on its own. This was a lot of wasteful spending, and it was later determined that there was a lot of fraud that was included within people making claims to receive money under this plan. This was the real start of inflation, where it really went up high to its height in 2022, where it had its largest increase. Let's now take a closer look at how did we get there. Let's look at history. When was the last time that government had a balanced budget? The last time the U.S. government had a balanced budget was in 2001 under President Bill Clinton. For the past 23 years, we have been running a deficit year after year. Imagine your household budget were in the red every single year. You'd never be able to get ahead or retire, and eventually you'd face serious credit issues and probably have to file for bankruptcy multiple times. This unstable fiscal policy is a big part why our families are feeling the pinch today. Many believe government programs are full of waste and fraud, and funds being misdirected or overspent on foreign aid and other areas that are not needed, that doesn't help the betterment of the country and does not help the American dream grow and prosper. Everybody is able to get this information, if you wanted to, of any of the financial information that the government spends their money on. This is included under the Freedom of Information Act. There are certain items that you cannot get your hands on, you cannot get the information, such as any national security issues, any of the federal employees' personnel files, etc. There is a handful of items that you can't, but the basic financial dollars, everybody has a right to know where their tax dollars are being spent. Now this applies for the federal government, state, and local as well. This brings us to, what is that idea behind the Department of Economic Efficiency? This is also known as Doge again. The idea isn't necessarily about targeting one political figure or one organization or the next, or whether or not who's going to do it. Is it going to be Trump? Is it going to be Musk? But it's about taking a hard look at every dollar the government spends, cutting the fat and finding efficiencies that we can increase efficiency while still maintaining services and reducing prices and cost, as well as cutting fat for services that we don't necessarily need, or different branches of the government that we don't necessarily need. So I think that's what we're seeing right now. Right now, currently what is happening is a lot of the information that's being shared with Musk is information that any private citizen is able to request under the Freedom of Information Act. He is reporting his findings back to the respective agency, and then the respective agency, again, is making the determination of what is going to be done, whether or not the agency will be cut, spending will be frozen. Again, these are up to negotiations, and he's looking forward to get a buy-in through all agencies, and that's why he was saying he's going to cut, or he's going to put a pause on government spending for a temporary span of time. Keep in mind, this initiative isn't about slashing all programs. Yes, some programs will be slashed and will be seen as wasteful spending and may get cut, but the idea is similar to tightening up your personal budget. You might have to let go some of the items that you enjoy having, such as getting your nails done, going to the gym, some various subscriptions. Again, those items might have to be cut for more important items, such as sending your child to college, putting food on the table, making sure your rent is paid, making sure your mortgage is paid. All those items you have to consider on a monthly basis when you're trying to balance your family budget. The hold that he put on certain agencies was an initiative to encourage compliance from various agencies. And this specific Doge is set to expire in July of 2026, which means there's a very limited window for all of these reviews to be completed and meaningful changes to be made where we can actually start seeing some savings and spending and maybe get closer to a balanced budget. I believe that we can get close to a balanced budget, but we're going to have more measures than just this. This is only a starting point and will help get us to a savings point. I think it's worth looking into, and it's worth anybody being curious to see where your money is spent. If you're not curious to know where your money is spent, then I think that there's a real issue. And again, regardless of what your political affiliation is, I'm curious and I like to know where my money is spent. Maybe it's due to my profession, but again, I'd like to know where that money goes and be able to determine, hey, I think that's a good program. Let's keep that program in place. Or what, that's not really a good program. Let's eliminate that program and save that money elsewhere to get a balanced budget. So again, in summary, regardless of your views on Trump, Musk, or anyone else in the Republican or Democrat Party, the facts remain clear. Government spending is out of control and it's impacting our household budgets and overall economic health. Whether you're a supporter of one side or the other, we all deserve to know where our tax dollars are going, and there's a genuine need to cut unnecessary expenses to help families achieve the American dream. I'm not saying every single claim of the proposal is 100% true, but the review process is straightforward. Let's see how this plays out over the next year and a half. If you found this video helpful, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. For a more in-depth discussion of any economic policy as well as things that impact your wallet as well as current events. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think about the need to reduce government spending? I'd love to hear your perspective. Again, thanks everybody for tuning in, and hopefully you all found this helpful.